that's right. We don't...
See, it's automatically starts recording.
Okay, cool.
Gooper.
Oh shit, I didn't need it. Let me just like... Is the mic on and all that shit?
Here. Where's the mute on here? Does this not... Yeah. Okay.
And I'm just gonna... Yo. Hey, Patch Node. Thanks for joining us. I've got Eli here in the studio.
Howdy, y'all.
We have NoizeHack up with us, too. All right. I'm super excited because we are going to dive into 2 new modules and an upcoming, right?
Yeah.
Module, Eli? So,
Upcoming.
Yep.
Soon trademark.
Yeah. So, just so everyone, I'm Travarsi, and I have Eli from Mystic Circuits. These are his modules right here.
The purple ones.
Yep. And I'll let you kind of jump in and take it from there.
Yeah. I'll just get this out of the way for now. Today, I just happened to be coming over right when we released Leaves, which is a new expander for our older sequential switch module called Tree. So you could say Tree has grown some leaves today. Basically, Tree is a sequential switch. You've got your normal, for those who don't know, sequential switch takes one of 8 jacks and sort of connects it to this other jack. So you can use it to take like 8 modulation sources and send them to one place, or take, one modulation source, send it to 8 places. Both are possible. And the nice thing about it is you send it a clock and just sort of goes down to the next sort of switch, right? So that's like the 30-second explanation of switches. It also, with Leaves, can now just work like a normal 8-step voltage sequencer. But the cool thing about Tree is that it's got all these other functions in it, right? So you've got your normal reset. You have a gate that switches the direction, but then you also have these shift inputs, which temporarily shift the position of the sequencer. So you have shift by 4, shift by 2, and shift by 1.
Cool. So you can...
Yeah, exactly. You can twiddle a little bit, for trills and stuff like that. If you're trying to make your Bach chorales, sound authentic.
Right.
Tree is the perfect module for that.
And I'm not sure if you did you mention they are connected in the back?
Yes.
Right.
So there's an expansion cable going between the two. The cool thing about Leaves too is that you can actually daisy chain them really easily. So I've had, in my case for a while now, I've had 2 trees, each with 4 leaves connected. I also had 1 tree with 8 leaves connected, and then a second tree switching between all 8 leaves. So I had basically like a 64-step sequencer. It's designed to be sort of like modular, both in the way that you use it and also in the way that you connect them all together, so that you're able to get a lot of different sort of creative ways of using of creating your own sort of sequencer for your needs.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so just to confirm, you said you had 8. Is there like a limit? Or...
The hypothetical
that's
limit,
a lot already.
Yeah, exactly.
8 is like...
I've tested it with 8 and didn't come across any problems with like voltage droop or anything like that. But my assumption is that the limit would be the power limit for your case.
Got
right?
it.
So there probably is a limit where heat starts to be an issue, just because they're all connected with just a normal ribbon cable instead of like a bus board, which is normally how you want to do something like that. But for now, I would say that the limit is really probably, once you're getting close to the power limit for your case, then that's when you should start worrying about a limit for it. But yeah, you can easily connect at least eight leaves to the same tree.
Cool.
Yeah.
So right now you have it on the 1.
Yeah, and one of the cool parts about Tree is that you can use these all simultaneously, right? So we've got a Batumi over here. You can kind of see these like LEDs blinking, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say I have, and I don't know much about Batumi, so I don't know how to synchronize them all. Maybe somebody in the chat knows, but I've got this one, right? It's going by 4. If I plug this other LFO in here, shift by 2.
Maybe I'll speed it up a little bit.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. In fact, let's do shift by 2 and shift by 1, right? So we got our shift by 1, right? Jumping around from these two. And then you shift by 2. That's shifting it up to these 2 up here, right? So now you're basically using these LFOs to jump between these 4 sliders at the top of Tree, right? And then you've got your final...
You got enough?
Yeah, give me a long boy.
All right. Here.
Oh, thank you. All right. Whew. Couldn't have done it without you. All right. So we got our +4, right? So now you have this chunk of 4 that whenever, whatever combination of gates you have at your shift by 1 and shift by 2 are sort of telling it which step you want to be on. If you shift that all up by 4, now you're basically addressing all 8 of these steps using just the 3 gates that are going into it.
Okay, and we're using the other, just like another LFO.
Exactly, yeah. So the way to control it is using your LFO, your clock divider, or whatever you've got going in there. When you make one of them go fast, or change the speed or whatever, it'll completely change the overall pattern. And you can get some really cool kind of off-kilter rhythms using this sort of technique. Especially like mixing and matching the sources with which you're deriving your gates from. There's also you can use the clock simultaneously with this sort of gate addressing. So that'll sort of like rotate the entire sequence based on your clock. So if I just plug this in, I think maybe they're all synchronized. I don't know. You can see we're getting like...
Okay, so this is a clock input, and just so everybody knows, we're taking clock from the vector and multiplying it down here with the buffer vault from the IntelliGel case.
Yeah.
And I just want to check in. If you're just joining us, this is Eli with Mystic Circuits, and we're going over his 2 new modules released, and we'll get into this one that he has coming out as soon as well.
Yeah. And
if you have questions, please just drop them in the chat so we can get them answered.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so like I said, we have these shift inputs, which are sort of scrambling the order of these 8 steps, right? So you've got your normal, you got a clock going in, you have a normal 8-step sequencer, right? Then the nice thing about Tree is that you're able to do something super predictable and useful, like a normal 8-step voltage sequencer, but then you throw in a couple of gates into these shift inputs, suddenly you have something that's a lot more complex, right? And so you have this thing that's able to do the sort of vanilla utility use that you want it to, and that's also able to do something that's a little bit more bonkers and off the wall, but that has, there's nothing random about what's going on here. It's like making this complicated pattern that repeats itself and phases in and out, but it's all based on whatever we're feeding it, which in this case is a set of LFOs.
So you can take like a basic sequence or basic loop and make it sound a little bit more interesting by adding these
yeah, if you were to take
and
these...
even the backwards, right? So then now
Sure,
you're changing,
sure.
you're flipping the sequence.
Yeah. If you put an LFO into there, you're getting some interesting behavior out of that.
That's so cool.
It's nice to have a little bit of creativity with how you can attack something like this. Whereas, like, you know, I personally, like, I understand that a lot of sequencers that use you can achieve a lot with a sequencer that uses a screen, but my brain just doesn't work that way. And so I like to be able to have a sequencer where everything is like, you're programming it by patching it and then like having all of these weird ways of like interconnecting them all.
Right.
And that's what yields like the weird chaotic behavior sort of.
Totally. And then in my, you know, just thinking about bringing this into my world, you know, even those that are using like a vector or a metron or any other sequencer, I always accompany it with another like a smaller sequencer to start changing up the sequence and even getting into some rhythmic patterns, like in switching them and flipping them, which we'll kind of get into that in a little bit. But
well, a nice thing about Leaves too is that you can actually just take, because it has these transpose inputs, you can take your sequence from your vector or whatever other sequencer that has the sort of you know, you pre-wrote everything. It has like a very sort of static but predictable, you know, something you planned ahead of time, and then you can put it into one of these transposes, and you get some sort of like arpeggiation on top of that, right? You can shift the sequence around a little bit temporarily by just putting in a couple gates or putting in a clock or something like that.
So like earlier when we were using like jamming, and earlier we were having this fun jam on his case, and then over on, you know, this setup here on my case. But on Eli's, he was using the ornaments in crime. Yeah. And that's where you were transposed. So if I remember correctly now, because being able to jam with this today. Yeah. So the first output is for the first 4 steps.
Right, yeah.
The second output is for the last 4 steps?
It's for the middle 4.
For the middle 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the third is for the last 4.
For the last 4. And then this final output is for all 8.
Exactly.
And then this is what we use now, just so everyone knows, is how we change the voltage.
Yeah.
And it sort of I like how it locks in in the middle, so you know, like, okay.
So that actually, on this last output, there's all of these are 5-volt range, except for this one, which is 2 volts. Okay. So it's really nice that you get a sort of physical indication of where 1 octave is, and then you get a second octave all the way up.
Right.
So that was my logic for using the center detent slide pots for that. It makes it so that even if you're not using a quantizer, you get a sort of an idea physically of where you are in the range of the slide. Yeah,
nice. And you can feel it too. Like, and the faders feel nice. You know I don't have this screwed in. Those of you out there know I don't screw in my modules.
It's
but
in.
You know, like, if they feel good, you know, it's not like they have like a nice slide. So you're not like, you know how some faders where they're just so loose they just slip in right. You know what I mean? They're just loose and you just knock it completely out of frequency.
I'm a big fan of these slider caps.
Right enough tension.
Yeah.
We've got some stuff from the chat.
Oh,
too.
Awesome! Yeah.
Patrick O'Brien says hi, Travarsi, and
hey,
congrats on the new modules to Eli.
Thank you, Patrick. Love you.
And then Robert Waters says, what is your favorite Leaves tree patch?
Oh.
Yeah, so I was actually planning on showing one. I would say my favorite Leaves tree patch is using, if we were to use all of these, right? So we've got our sort of shifty business, right? And now I'm putting a clock in here just so that we have, this technically sends out gates, but every once in a while you have a module that doesn't like the gate levels from that, right? And so now we should hear something when I plug something into this top
let me kind
thingamabob. Make sure we got, right?
Hang on here.
Oh yeah, it's actually not even getting to there. Hold on. There we go. Got a little thing right there, right? So if I plug something in here, forgive me, I'm still getting used to how Batumi works, right? Now,
kind of kept those in there for you. So these are all, just so everyone knows in the chat, we're using the squid salampo, and these are one-shots drums.
Yeah, one shots.
Yep.
All right, so now we've got 4 drums kind of like dispersed throughout the range. And I'll sometimes, like, instead of doing them evenly, I'll do one that's just one off to sort of make 2 of the drums sort of closer to each other, right? And so I generally enjoy, we have a voice in here too, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So while you're talking, I'll make sure it's
Okay,
patched
okay.
up, like,
Yeah.
at least.
So I might want to throw the gate from the voice onto one of these outputs instead of from the sequencer, right?
Got it. Okay.
Thank you.
So you
All
take
right.
that.
Yeah.
Let me
Go ahead and do it here.
Let's see what's happening.
Yeah.
Let me turn off the delay for just a second.
Yeah.
Here.
Delay always makes it a little sillier. All right.
I probably have a weird sequence. in
Well,
there,
I'm gonna unplug that and just have it coming from leaves now.
I'll turn on all the notes so we can hear the. Oh, okay. You're
Yeah,
taking
no,
the
it's
pitch
being
from there.
sequenced from here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? That won't work because it's only gonna trigger on that one thing. So, never mind. Let's go ahead and plug the pitch back into here,
Okay.
right? But the rhythm is still happening from here, right? So we can change the entire rhythmic sort of identity of the patch by just messing with this LFO now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no wonder. Hang on one second. It's this one.
Sweet.
Let me change.
Oh,
Probably
baby.
out of tune. No, I mean, like, I think because I bumped the pitch knob on here. Let me. You want
Y'all
pitch?
know what using a modular is like, right? Oh, it was still plugged in over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Sorry. Here.
No, it's all right.
All right. And then
So
that's
that's
the
gate,
gate.
yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
We're professionals, folks. All right. So now
There
we've
we
got
go.
some actual pitch happening. We could maybe use this to like modulate the filter or something like that, right?
Yeah.
All right. Have it be a little bit more exciting. Or something in the drums or something. I don't know. We have a CV over here, folks. We're going to figure out something to plug it into. Let's see.
Oh,
So-
this was. Okay.
that was a good one? Yeah, let's plug it in there. Is this first CV, right?
Actually, right here.
Okay. I need a longer one for that. Woo!
Yeah. I like to wing it.
Yeah. We live dangerously here,
Here you
folks.
go. Here's the
Okay.
pitch.
Perfect.
All right, so just to recap, everyone, we are using the Mosaic 1U just as our voice right now. That's where that little kind of bass line, and I'm going to turn it down for just a moment. But all the drums, percussion are coming off the squid salampo and being sequenced by the leaves and tree. And this last output is where we're going to send pitch
Exactly.
from trees,
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
leaves, excuse
From
me.
leaves, yeah.
Right. Just make sure everybody can kind of follow the patch.
And what's happening-
And then here's the actual gate
Perfect.
for
Gotcha.
the output that we're going to
Oh, shoot.
send.
It's going to have the same problem that the other thing had, but that's fine. So just to be clear, what's actually creating all of this rhythm is the Batumi, right? Because the Batumi is just going into all of the shift inputs. And the way that we're able to affect the entire rhythm of the patch, you can see now if I change or move around the
fade or move
the
fader up
faders.
and down.
Like if I go fast, it'll get really crazy. If I go slower, you can see it's all sort of moving in tandem, right? I could even grab this last one, throw it into the clock, and then that's going to cause the entire thing to shift around every time it gets a clock there.
Should I speed up the sequence even?
I don't think that's actually going to... I mean, maybe it will.
I'll put it at 120.
Alrighty. Yeah. Whoa. You know what? If I
glitchy.
could get one... Yeah, we're getting glitchy here, folks.
we're getting glitchy. Wait, did I get those cables back?
No, I think I got it. All right. So if I sync,
Questions about what's happening so far? NoizeHack or any other?
all right.
I don't see any more questions.
I resynced the Batumi to the gate thing, and it seems like it's all kind of going in timing now, right?
Nice.
But yeah, you can hear that this is sort of changing the pitch of those hi-hats a little bit. Yeah, can you make it longer or something?
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, because if it like trails over, it'll sort of like be easier to hear that part. This the clock.
Nice.
Yeah, so you can see every time I mess with the LFO, it changes the overall rhythm of the patch. All right, that's kind of my favorite thing to do with Tree. So put in a weird kind of experiment with weird gate sources, plug them all into Tree. See what I can do with them. Obviously, this is sort of like a mixture of both of our setups that we threw together for this.
Right.
It takes a little bit of getting used to sometimes, but I think that
I had fun jamming
yeah.
it out. Maybe like I would think to anchor the kick, maybe like a 4 to the floor. I typically do like some house and techno.
Yeah.
And then use the leaves and tree to move around all the top like percussion.
It's still plugged into it's being clocked by your sequencer, so we could swap the kick over to be.
Let me see. So like if I did like.
Yeah, I think that's still the kick. So yeah.
And then
maybe like half as fast.
And then Eli, if you move one of the LFO speeds, like your whole rhythm just totally changes.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
There we go. Bump up the BPM because you guys know how I like it, like the techno.
Right. So you can hear that
keep
like
at 128. That's
everything that's. I have a weird idea.
Yeah.
Can we use this to sequence the bass drum pitch?
Yeah.
Would that be too wild?
Yeah, try it.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the pitch for the bass drum. You mean?
Yeah, like the bass drum sample.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't think that channel does it. No,
don't
it's
worry
just
about
the
it.
yeah.
Don't worry about it.
But there's a tom.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Here, let's see.
Yeah, if we could get like a longer sample with like a more identifiable pitch, it might be easier to tell what's going on with the leaves expander.
Yeah. So.
Perfect.
There's a tom on this one, right? So first we need the
just
gate.
swap
So
it
here's
over.
the gate.
Oh, perfect.
And then here comes. Let me get a longer cable so we can do the pitch. All right, here's one for the pitch.
Yeah, swap this one over. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Yeah.
Cool.
Right?
Very cool.
And so now we have something with a sort of foundation, right? We have some sort of higher frequency percussion going on the top of it. And if we were to just like change something like that, it's going to change the entire vibe.
Right.
Right?
I like how they keep in the kick. Like for me, this is how I would totally use it. Like I just patch like a kick, keep it 4 to the floor.
Yeah.
And be able to just do some like improv strip techno set.
Yeah.
Like it just.
Oh yeah, no, I'm all about chaos. So having everything be.
There we go, like it.
Yeah. There we go. I like that.
Nice. But it's just like a switch, just like.
Yeah, it's almost like you're changing the pattern on like something where you wrote the patterns ahead of time, but you're really just sort of exploring the space that the sequencer is able to give you,
So wait, these are for the lower, right?
Yeah, I think I have the pitch that's going to the tom coming out of it's the final output.
Got it.
And then I swapped the hi-hat to be this one.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you turned the tom pitch down, it would probably make it so that it's like longer, right? And then you get a little bit more of the like effect of the pitch modulation. Yeah.
Cool. Just want to check in with everybody in the chat. Thanks for being here and jumping in with us. I have Eli here with Mystic Circuits, and we're getting into his 2 new modules, Leaves and Tree. And right now we're kind of jamming it out with the Solampo, and the Batumi is sending LFOs, right? Into the leaves, into the tree, which is a switch. And also the Leaves is sending out the pitch to the hi-hat as well as the tom.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And we're just using the kick on the vector. That's in clock right now.
Perfect.
Is what you're hearing in kick.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so basically reiterating, the Batumi is sending a clock and then these shift LEDs, and it's really hard to see with the like right angle cables, but you can kind of see the LEDs like bouncing around, and that every time we change the sliders on the Batumi, we get like a totally different pattern out of them. Actually, you can see it based on these LEDs, right? The LEDs here are the exact same as here because this is expanding the functionality of that. So you're getting a sort of like cross compatibility between your gates over here, your voltages over here, and then your LFO over here.
Nice. Yeah, this is great. Great for some improv, and I can hear like the groove.
Yeah.
You know, like it's instant groove sequencing. Yeah. I just want to make sure everyone can hear us in the chat. Okay.
Everyone in the chat also says that this is a cool patch.
Hell yeah.
Nice. Yeah, this is like. I'm playing the SoCal Synth Society, our first in-person event next Saturday on November 6th, and I think I might just wing it and do some improv like strip techno and use some of this patch.
I'm honored.
And this is fun, and I want to incorporate the new your next module, which I've been kind of jamming with.
I'm pretty excited about this one.
Yeah. I'm gonna just turn this down for just a second, and just so you can tell everybody what. I almost feel like we should just
unpatch this and then we'll start the. Okay, I'm fine with that.
Wait,
I just wanted him to be able to see it. You know.
Okay.
If we go like this.
Let's swing these cables around.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Here, I have non-right angle cables too. I can always use that.
What we really need is some glue. Help keep all the modules in.
I know, right?
All right. Here we go. No, it looks good. It looks good like that. All right.
Okay.
So this module.
Should we switch over to hit 2 on the camera just so we can punch in a little bit?
Yeah.
Boom. There we go. Nice.
All right. This is my baby. I've been working on this module for a couple years now. It's called Idem, and the idea is to give IDM to people of average intelligence. Basically, it takes in a clock and 4 triggers. This is my first digital module, by the way. So it takes in a clock and 4 triggers. It spits out a clock and 4 triggers, and then you have 8 different modes that let you select what you're going to do with those clocks, right? So let's say we've got.
Unpatch, actually.
You know what? Honestly, we can take the patch that's happening here and we can put it through IDEM, right? All I got to do, I got to take the clock that I'm sending to everything else, right? And then we should keep the kick, right? We'll keep all of that. We'll keep the kick as is. So we got this. I'll just grab the top 4 because I know that actually, I should grab whichever one is going to the tom too. All right, so we got this, right? We got.
Okay.
Let's see. This is. Thank you. Yeah. No, I'll go ahead and just reconfigure this patch a tiny bit.
Okay.
And then we can do that. If you have a couple of shorties, then.
Here's this one.
Thank you. Cool. Oh, I got some shorties right here too. Sweet. All right. So. Yeah, shorties. Any shorties in the chat? All right. So we've got.
Hey, Travarsi. Some people were asking about the show in the chat. Is there a link? Is it on SoCal Synth? Or
It's on our website, which is SoCalSynSociety.com. It's also on our Instagram, which is at SoCalSynSociety.com. We'll drop the
I'll drop
link.
the link in the chat.
Yes.
Do you know the venue yet?
I do. It's in Fullerton. It's at Joe's, which is this nice little low-key bar
Nice.
and grill sort of situation
Yeah.
in downtown Fullerton. So there's
Oh, yeah.
ample parking. We have the indoor, outdoor little patio situation.
Is that the spot that the NAMM show was at?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay.
Same. If you guys went to the NAMM show, the last,
Yeah,
crazy.
At
it
the
was-
last NAMM.
yeah, and it's the last in-person thing that SoCal did. So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool that we're going back to that spot,
Totally.
doing this first in-person, and we have like 16 people
Nice.
playing live sets, which is pretty sick.
That sounds great. I'm
And
gonna have to go to that.
it's a food drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we're collecting, canned and non-perishable goods, and we're gonna donate it to the local shelter because
Oh,
the
yeah.
holidays are coming up, and
Totally.
they're gonna have to, feed,
Yeah.
make some meals and stuff like that. So we thought it would be
Wow.
a good opportunity to
Doing
have
the
fun
Lord's work.
and give
Yeah.
back to the community. Cool. NoizeHack, you dropped that in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, now that we're done talking about doing nice things for other people, let's talk about something nice you could do for yourself.
Yeah, I
Which
like
is
it.
buying my modules.
I like this. I love that segue. I like that. Let me get a fist bump on
Yeah,
that.
thank you. All right. Yeah, so I guess we could probably listen to
Okay.
this.
So we got our anchor. Oh no, I forgot the output is. Okay.
All right, so what we have here is actually pretty much the same patch as what we had before, right?
Right.
Actually, yeah, never
You want
mind.
me to make the kicker
No, I was just
or-
thinking that like there's the clocking stuff that I can't really show with this, but we'll do that later. So this is pretty much the same patch as we had before. You have a clock going in, and then you have your 4 triggers coming from Tree, which is doing all of this crazy pattern generation, right? So
Right.
you've got.
So we're going in and then back out.
Exactly, yeah.
Right
So
now.
right
Nothing
now,
is happening.
IDEM is just passing through whatever triggers are coming into it, right?
Right.
So you've got these 8 different modes for different things that you can do with IDEM. And for example, one of these is to like hold the steps, right? And if I turn that all the way down, there's this parameter knob that'll affect the what each mode does, sort of. So like here, this is like the pulse width of your gates, right? So if
Yeah.
I do something like that, we're now sort of skipping. Apologies. This is a knob that sets the probability that we're going to do the thing that's on this mode, right? So
Right.
I'm flubbing this already. All right. This is the probability on any given step that we're going to do whatever it is that's on this ring
Right.
of modes, right? So probabilities all the way down, it's just passing through whatever you got. If I
Right.
turn the probability all the way
Turn
up,
this down for a second
Sure.
while you're doing the run through.
if I turn the probability all the way up, it's just going to be cutting everything out because our the pulse width of our triggers is 0, right?
Right.
If I put it at 50%, it's going to like get rid of roughly 50% of the triggers that are going through it.
Got
right?
it. Right.
We also have this control over here, which sets the length of a modification. So every time a modification goes, you're like, all right, I'm flipping a coin every time we get a trigger
Okay.
at the clock input, right? I flip a coin, and if that coin says go do this modification, I'm now going to delete notes for like 4 steps or something like that, right? And so you can see it's sort of lengthening the amount of time that it's cutting all the steps out.
Got it. Because
No.
we're on we're on the selection that we are cutting out.
Exactly. It's like
Right.
hold. It's doing hold mode, right?
Right.
So now you can do something like this, and it'll like lengthen your gates.
Turn this up a
Right.
little bit so they can kind of hear that happening.
Yeah, it's got some of the gates overlapping and kind of doing funky stuff. An easier mode to show it with might actually be this ratchet mode. So we got ratchets right here, right? Right now, there's like a 50% chance roughly on any step that we're going to engage a ratchet, right? And this would be the ratchet speed. So going this way is obviously faster. Going this way is slower. And all the ratchet speeds are determined by the clock speed, right? So if I do this, every time it does a ratchet, it's going to do it for a couple of steps, right?
Right.
You can kind of hear it's like deciding to do a ratchet, and then it does it for a longer period of time. If I do it like lower, every once in a while, it goes like, I'm going to ratchet for like 7 steps now, right?
Got it. Because you put it on 7 on this parameter.
I can't actually, it looks like it's at 5.
5.
Yeah, I'm just making these numbers up. Yeah, but you can hear it's adding ratchets in. There's a second ratchet. Oh, hi, pup. There's a second ratchet flavor that's determined by the speed of the triggers coming in instead of the speed of the clock. Here you get some really interesting kind of like evolving, almost like blast beat kind of sounds out of that.
Nice.
There's a bouncing ball, which gets pretty crazy. It's like expanding bouncing ball, contracting bouncing ball.
That's crazy.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite modes. We have one that just rotates all the inputs. Whoa. We have one that just rotates all the inputs.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, this one's nice for keeping it simple, but adding some variation, because like you're not technically getting anything out of it that you're not putting into at least one of the inputs.
Right.
So it's just sort of like scrambling a little bit, like which percussive element is doing which pattern, right? And so it's a nice way to add variation without like necessarily something like this, which is just gonna like completely obliterate everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
We have a gate delay, which gives you the weird off kilter kind of stuff.
Cool.
It's nice because to the left it's all less than one beat basically, and it's unquantized, and to the right you actually have a quantized gate delay that's like all synchronized to the beat. This is a preset rhythms generator sort of thing. This is definitely like the most kind of like cheap and dirty IDM one, especially because it's not just simply playing back the preset rhythm. Each lane of the preset rhythm is being reset by the trigger input, so it's sort of like masking it with your preset rhythm. And then there are some clock manipulation things going on that I would have to repatch in order to show, but you get the idea. The IDM basically takes gates that are going through it and lets you do all kinds of funky trickery with it.
Nice. Here, I'm gonna mess with it just so you can hear kind of.
I'm gonna turn you up.
Yeah, turn it up.
They want the Idem right now.
Yeah. It's coming next. I haven't even shown you the craziest stuff that Idem does yet.
Yeah, we've gone like just like
we're like scratching the surface
yeah.
here.
I'm gonna try something in 1 second. So it has the loop.
Oh yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, when it's hooked up to another sequencer, like when it's hooked up to Tree and Leaves, it'll actually loop the position there.
But I'm gonna turn it on and off with this LFO.
Oh, good idea.
So we get like kind of glitchy.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the nice things about Idem too is that I left in the option to have all of these really crazy multiplication and division options. So like, there's like your multiply and divide by 5, by 7, all these odd numbers and stuff. But there's also like a hidden menu option in order to make it only do powers of 2. If you want to be real cheap and dirty about it and just be like, I don't want to ever get a weird rhythm. I'm only going to do powers of 2 when I ratchet.
Right.
Or like, I'm only going to do even numbers even. That's also
Yeah, listen to that.
Yeah, that's what we need.
Well, I'm sending the LFO into the probability.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so you can have
I'm keeping it the ratchet but down to 1. So
Totally,
just like,
totally. And so it's just ratcheting whenever you get an LFO in there. That's cool. Yeah, so like she's doing, you can actually trigger any of these modifications to happen if you just plug a gate into the probability input.
Yeah, so like I'm using the LFO.
We're just going to turn this all the way down so it's only you turning it on.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
Is it a bug? It's a feature.
It's like instrument, like tons of different drum patterns.
Yeah. No, it does some pretty bonker stuff to drums. I want to show them the really weird, like, you can, if you do the ratcheting, but you do it with these longer lengths and like sort of down here. It's like dividing. You hear those weird.
Oh, okay.
It's like dividing it by 5 or something like that.
Right, so you get that
Yeah, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's all this weird, like, it's not quite on the, it's a polyrhythm, you know?
Yeah.
I decided to leave all that stuff in there. I think it sounds way more interesting with it there.
Yeah. And I like this, like, you just change this on the leaves, like,
Yeah.
there's a tom, like,
Yeah, I mean, you're obviously not going to compose your Bach chorale on this. You use the vector for that. But, like, having something like this that's super, like, immediate, especially
listen
for
to
you,
that,
right?
like, that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I like the whole improvisational
Yeah, exactly.
aspect.
Like, you make techno, that's all improv. Like,
Yeah.
having something simple like this to be able to improvise with and to be able to see exactly what's going on is so crucial.
Totally. And just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, like, and then, like, even, throwing in using it with the sequencer, I could throw the triggers, like how we were talking about earlier, which is sending out some of these trigger outs, and then modulating the item.
Yeah.
And then even sending out a trigger to reverse the sequence on tree. Yeah. Just to kind of mix it up. And
you want to check out the clock manipulation stuff?
yeah.
I think we got to repatch a little bit to do that.
Sure. Here, do you want me to stop the clock?
Yeah, just for now.
All right, cool. So,
Alright.
so just everybody, thanks for being here. Just to let you know, in case you're joining us, this is Eli from Mystic Circuits. These are his 2 new modules, a new upcoming module that's coming out in the future, in the near future,
Near
right?
future, yeah.
Awesome.
I'm like trying to get this out by the end of the year.
No, this is an awesome little combo. Like, yeah.
All right, so
All right, so what are you gonna do now?
this has just begun. Okay, so right now, if we press play.
Yeah. I turned it down just so you know
Okay,
for a second.
yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and just try and make it visible what's going on leaves, because leaves is what we are currently messing with right now.
Cool.
So if I do this,
And just to check in, does anybody have any questions while we have Eli here? We're coming up. What are we at? Like about a half hour, 40 minutes. So he's gonna just show. Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up probably at the top of the hour, meaning the hour of streaming, not the actual top of the hour. Not that my top of the hour.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. No, seriously. So if you have questions, please, like, you have him here. Take the opportunity to pepper him with as many questions as you can come up with. But you're reachable on Instagram, right?
Instagram, you can contact me through my website, mysticcircuits.com. Obviously, if you would like to buy Tree and Leaves, those both came out today. Those are at mysticcircuits.com. And if you want to know when Idem comes out, follow me on Instagram. That's probably the easiest way to keep track of it.
And we'll drop those links for everyone in the chat.
Thank you kindly.
Yep. All right, cool. So
let's see what we got going on here. Okay. So basically just like an 8-step sequence, right? We've got our tree, which is doing just one, triggering one drum as it goes down each time. Could we plug the voice into this and then we can just trigger that once a note? It won't be quantized, but that's not like the end of the world, We'll figure out something to plug into there.
Sure. Here, where do you want this? Here.
So that's the gate or the
that's
voice?
The voice.
That's the voltage, yeah.
The voltage.
And then if we could even just keep it open or something. I just want to be able to hear.
Is actually being triggered. Hang
Is
on.
that going in here or something?
This is
All right. So I'm gonna try to make something that doesn't sound disgusting, even though it's unquantized. All right, that sounds fine. All right, so now we have our normal 8-step sequence, right? Nothing super significant about this. Idem will now be able to sort of like take certain steps and remove them, right? We're actually clocking that from here. Okay, that helps.
Yeah.
So now we're getting... I'm just going to double check. Which one are we actually triggering that from? All right, number 4. All right, so every time you can hear we're in hold mode, right? I'm just going to turn this up all the way. And that every time we get a trigger, right, if I turn it up, the trigger is now longer, right? So the parameter is sort of setting the length of the gates that are going through it. So I can remove a gate or I can make it longer. But you might also be noticing that the sliders over here are moving slower now, right? So if I turn up the length, you'll notice they're moving even slower, right? And that's because basically whenever we do a modification, we're able to set how long that modification goes for, and we pause all of the clocks coming out of the module, right?
Gotcha.
So if I bring it back into your normal 8-step sequence, we put it up to like 25%. You can hear sometimes it's just going to hold whichever note it's on, and I'm going to turn that all the way up, right? So that we're getting at least a little bit of something. But yeah, you can see it's like reshuffling the way that your module works. You might be familiar with some other sequencers that do this with sliders in order to determine like the length of a note is going to be longer than the other notes in the sequence. This one's doing it all with a voltage, right? So you're able to now be like, those notes are going to be 7 notes long. These notes are going to be 1 note long again. These are going to be 3, right? And then you're doing it with your probability, right? Turning the probability up makes it happen more often, blah, blah, blah.
Very cool.
Another example could be your ratchets, right? Which are much more easy to identify, right?
Right there you have it on like 4.
Something like that,
Yeah.
right? So you can see whenever it's ratcheting, it's going a little bit slower, right? So now the thing about this is that if you're doing this long enough, I'm going to just double check something. If you're doing this long enough, you're going to go out of sync with the cycle of your original sequence, right?
Yes.
So if we flip this switch, every time you'll notice, every time it holds, it just jumps forward in the sequence afterwards, right?
It pulls it back in time.
Exactly. It's basically keeping everything in sync with the original cycle it was doing while still manipulating the clock that's going through the sequencer. I realize that's like I'm like throwing a lot of words out here.
No, it's fine. Actually, you know what I'll do is because
turn
of
the
the
drums back
sample,
on?
Yeah, let me actually unplug just the percussion for a second, just so we can hear the kick.
Okay.
Go
Sure.
for it.
Oh,
Just,
good thinking.
Turn it up
Good
just
thinking.
so you
Yeah.
can hear.
I don't mind having like 1 or 2 things.
Okay.
But yeah, like, all right. Keep the 8 steps sequence in
just so I
mind,
can hear.
right?
Okay.
You got your 8-step sequence now. You notice whenever we're doing a hold, we're actually still staying in the cycle.
Nice. Sick.
See, so everything's still staying in time. If I turn this switch off, that's no longer the case. Things just keep going from whatever the most recent step you were on, right?
Right.
So in this way, you're getting like a little taste of the kind of clock manipulation stuff that Idem can do, right? And it does this in all of the modes. You've got your multiplication, still in time. You've got your bouncing ball, still in time, right? This last mode is actually doing some really weird clock manipulation, and Hopefully it's working. This is part of the thing that I actually need to do more work on, but you'll see here now.
Okay.
Testing. Let me get back on. So
Yeah,
I think
back on.
just to recap, talk about the bits with the Benjamin.
Yeah.
That's a lot of B's.
Yeah, the Benjamin bits.
The Benjamin bits. Yeah.
All right, so with leaves, it does work with the Benjamin. Similarly with the Turing machine, all of the sliders can be on or off at one time, and what you get out of each output is the sort of addition of all the sliders that are on, right? So like if you've got these two on, you're going to get the two sliders added together. And so it doesn't actually change the way that the Benjamin functions. It's just going to give you 4 more outputs from whatever you have going on in your Benjamin, right? And so from what I understand, the leaves, I mean, I haven't used them together a lot, but we did test it and it appeared to work. One of the nice things about leaves is actually with a module like the Turing machine or the Benjamin, where all the steps can be on or off at a time. You're not just getting like a chunk of a sequence. You're actually getting 4 different sequences out of each output.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that answered his question.
Hopefully that answered your question. Let me know if you have any more. Yeah, so I was going over the clock manipulation stuff.
Sure.
And so what we got here, just jumping around in our sequence, right? Doing the arpeggiated clock stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Get your weird, video game stuff out of that. And there's one last little goodie I got in the Idem to show you, which is the looper, right? So we got our looper.
Nice.
Are we modulating something? You know what? I think it's because it recorded this. Idem is still in development, folks. All right, so what the heck?
Make sure I'm not.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Delay.
I don't know what's doing that. But you know what? Again, still in development. That's why it's not out for sale yet. So basically, Idem has this looper. It records in the last 8 steps of whatever was going on, right? And it also, you can see here, is manipulating what's happening with the sequencer. It's not doing that with the shift inputs. It's actually doing that by sending clocks out super, super fast, right? And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have tree and leaves ready before selling Idem, is because I know that these things work really well together. If I was to do this thing, which makes the clock slower, and put it back in the loop, you can actually see that whenever it resets to that step, you get like a little burst of lights that happens here, right?
Right.
And that's because Idem is just sending out, in order to like simulate going backwards, it's sending out 7 little it's sending out 7 little clocks really fast in order to sort of pretend it's going backwards, right?
Got it.
So if I do this again, go back into the fast mode, we go to the loop. You can see here we have the offset for the loop, and I'm actually able to scrub through this sequence with my knob. And if I wanted to, I could send an LFO into there. So like, if we take something from the Batumi, thank you for holding the glue down. All right, so we got our Batumi is now...
Yeah, second channel.
Oh, it's a square. All right, I'm gonna do the sign. So you can see the Batumi is literally scrubbing, like follow that LED. It's scrubbing the actual sequencer right here.
Got it.
Right? And it can do that pretty fast.
So cool.
And it can do it on top of this other sort of normal looper functionality, which is like, I want to do a 4-step loop, right? So I'm going to turn the speed up a little bit. Now we have a 5-step loop. Now I'm looping those 4 steps. Now I'm using an offset to change the 4 steps that I'm looping. Right?
Sorry, I had to drop the kick.
No, you're right. You're right. The kick was missing. And then you can change the speed of the looper here. So now it's going slower.
Sorry.
All good. And then you can make it faster. And you can see it's doing this, and it's doing it by sending clocks into tree really, really fast. You can see it's happening pretty reliably, right? Like it's not moving at all. On top of that, I'm going to plug that LFO back in. And now you'll see it's doing all these really complicated manipulations of the sequencer that's happening here. Right? So this is just a sort of idea of the sort of stuff that Idem can do for your silly sequences.
Nice.
Now we're modulating the mode, and so if we turn the chance up a little bit,
Very
see the sort
cool.
of craziness we can get out of this.
Yeah. Very cool. Thank you so much for
Thank you for
coming
having me over.
Yeah,
This
jamming.
was a lot of fun.
And yeah, great day hanging out, getting into the new leaves tree and Idem. Thanks a lot for
Thank
coming
you.
over, Eli.
Yeah, this was
Appreciate
great.
it. I just want to check in with everyone before we wrap it up. Thank you all for being here, hanging out with us for a quick impromptu live stream, but it was like we had to do it because these modules are just so much fun. I just thought it would be a perfect way to share it with all of you. So thank you, and we'll be doing more of these pop-up live streams coming up. So yeah, on that note, NoizeHack, do you have anything to add before we close it?
No.
Awesome. All right. And we have the links in there to
Yeah.
Mystic Circuits.
Yeah, I put the link to Mystic Circuits in the chat.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, and also
Thanks,
to
y'all.
the show next Saturday.
Oh, great. All right. Well, take care, everyone, and see you on the socials.